Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War with the Imperial Destroyer mod. Last time around we were able to secure Vilnius in Lithuania and Moscow. So, since last time around, the only thing I've basically been doing is securing the area. Making sure that I'm turning the religion around, which is slowly going my way, and also slowly eroding away the negative influence of the resistance to foreign occupation. It's still somewhat here in Kurland. It's slowly going down, as luck as we have it, or it's as good as we have it. They were actually Protestant to begin with, which is the case mostly around the Baltics here. So we didn't have to do as much here, but as you can see, they're very unhappy because it was a capital region. With that said, the two nations, Russia and the Polish, have declared war on me once again, within about turns different of each other. So we're at war again with our enemy, and we actually have a possibility to move out against them at this point, because I've been able to secure the positions to such an extent that I can actually move away from the regions. In some cases I have to exempt them from tax, and in some cases I have to exempt them from tax and recruit some troops, which I'm doing in Moscow, but I will be able to hold them down and will be able to take offensive maneuvers upon the enemy. And so we've got quite a lot of armies, and I'm gonna go through the different maneuvers I'm gonna do with them. Now this one could easily go ahead and take Königsberg with an out-resolve, but the problem is we'll be locked down there, we can't make any further moves, and currently all the Prussian forces are down here. So rather than stirring up the hornet's nest, we're gonna bypass. Well, we're not going to go for this very easy target. Instead, we're going to go for a target that actually is posing a threat to us, recruiting troops and so forth, sending them our way, which is Warsaw in the Polish capital. So we're going to march towards that. We're not going to engage these guys just yet, because I'm not sure. It might drag in some other enemies and so forth. And actually, rather than trying to figure out what's going on here, I want to figure out if there's any more. Can you just leave already? There we go. See what's going on in Poland, or next to the capital. So there's some troops around here. We've got some troops here, or an army down here. But other than that, there isn't that much. Seemingly, it's only this. Unless they have a hidden force hiding in the forest. Now the second move is going to be made with this army, moving to siege the army here, keeping them locked down, which means the even though the Polish declared war on us, the war against Poland going to start with us doing offensive maneuvers against them. With that said, let's go over to the Russian front, where this army is able to move out, since I'm gonna be able to. There's only they're only unhappy 4, so I can, and that's the recruitment capacity of this region. So they'll be only unhappy for 1-2 turns maybe, before we have changed that around. Now where am I gonna send this army? I mean, Russia holds territory around here. As we can see, they hold a number of spots out here, 4 to be exact. But those are not the interesting ones. I want to stop them being able to trade with foreign nations, so we're going to go for their capital up here. Also is a region that holds like the water region, so it's, I think that will landlock Russia and push them further away. And as far as I've seen, they've not actually pushed any troops up through anywhere through here. So there is what we're gonna go here. Now I probably should have sent a spy or something, because there's a lot of forest, and yeah, this could have easily become a ambush battle, since we've got the Russians hiding more or less in the forest. But luckily for us, that wasn't the case. And then I'm building another army here. We can see some troops moving to this region from all over the place, moving to reinforce this area, because Russia, as they declared war, well, actually even before they declared war, had 2 navies, both of which was packed with 2 full stack armies. Now both of them, as you can see right here with this one that has landed up here, both of them are broken down, so we don't know exactly what kind of troop strength they have. It is a full stack, but it's a broken down full stack. So I don't know how many men, so we can expect that there be less than 4,000, maybe around 3,000 men coming down here. Now I actually anticipated this because they were sitting, both the navies were sitting here for quite a while, and I moved my navy to stay close by, and I thought, okay, so as soon as they move, my navy will be able to intercept and attack them. But that didn't happen, so the Russians just passed my navy, even though it was in my navy's area of influence. And so they were able to pass, and they landed one army right where we were, and then the next one went all the way around here and landed here. Now subsequently, the Russian naval forces were so small that I was able to destroy them quite quickly, so the Russians don't have any navy anymore. This army is the one that we're mostly concerned about, because this one doesn't have... I'm not able to put up an opposition against that. I don't have time to recruit and put an army there. And also, I wasn't really expecting anyone to invade Norway at this point, least of all Russia. But we have the same situation here. But if you actually look at it, it's not as dangerous as it might first seem. First of all, it's a broken down army. So we're looking at maybe 3,000 men rather than 4,000. Maybe less, 2,500 or something like that. It's still kind of large compared to the fact that I've only have about 1,000 men holding the place, and I'm gonna get maybe another 1,000 defending it in garrison. But also, if you look at the troop composition of the enemy army, most of it is cavalry. There's only 6 infantry units, and they're all militia units. And since they're gonna have to take a fort, they're gonna have to use those men, and that equalizes the situation quite a lot, because I'll get 2 garrisons. Say I get 2 garrison units, that means that I have 5 infantry units against their 6, and I have a fort to protect. So what I need to do is, like, say, recruit a general, maybe actually 2. General doesn't mean that much in this game. You can just recruit a few and have them killed. I have a lot of money. We can have a 3rd general. This one actually good, so I guess we'll save him, and then we'll put these 2 outside as bait. They probably don't like that, but we imagine there's just... I mean, this one's fat, so he might as well die. He's probably eating up. That's probably why we have food shortages in the area. Or it could be the fact that the Russians burned something on landing there. But that situation is relatively safe. I have new troops recruited in Stockholm. We've got the new Horse-Jäger cavalry, which has 50 accuracy, so that'll be good. Don't know what the reload rate they have. 15, so that's not that good. I think the Hussars have about... well, it's not that bad compared to the Hussars. So, but with 50 accuracy, that's pretty good. So Sweden should be safe. I mean, they can't hit Denmark because I'll block them with my navy, and then marching anywhere else is not going to work either. Oh, you know what? I recruited a few extra troops here to send over here as well, so that'll be nice. One thing that I don't get with Finland is even if I exempt the tax and they get like 0.7 in increase in population rate, I can't get the last village of Helsingfors to actually go ahead and spawn. We have 2 villages in Finland that is not able to grow. And as you pointed out in episode 8 or something, where I keep calling this part Eastern Sweden instead of Finland, is that you mentioned that it actually was called Finland, or well, I mean, this area, this region in around, I think it was Helsingfors, it was called Finland, and that why it gave the name of Finland, or I guess first, when it became part of Russia, it became the Duchy of Finland. And then that's why it's called Finland today. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal calling it Finland. But I guess I wanted to trigger a bit of Finnish people, if there's anyone watching, by calling it Eastern Sweden. So that's that. So with that, I mean, I've moved here. We've moved here, and so forth. What we need to do is move in to siege Minsk and Belarus. I'm thinking we're gonna attack from the north, possibly, and go down this route. And crap, we are intercepted, and we're looking at a ambush battle. I was hoping. We haven't really fought, and well, we have fought one ambush battle. Damn it! I mean, what the hell? I have a spy. I have a spy in the region that has been spying on the area, but still, he couldn't tell me there was a full stack hiding outside the town. So instead of thinking, you know, I'll be able to bottle in that army, I can slowly siege it and then force it to attack me. Force it to attack out of the castle. Now we're faced with an ambush battle where my best army is ambushed by a substantial force of about, what, 7,000 men against my 4,000. And all my best troops are here. My grenadiers, my Queen's infantry, my life guard. This is basically the King's army being ambushed. It's a strong Polish army as well, supported by a lot of good troops. Right, well, there's no way of avoiding it. We can't fall back because we're surrounded, so this is going to be an interesting episode to say the least. Go ahead and auto-resolve just in case. And yeah, let's just jump straight into this battle, shall we? Right, and so here we can see the Polish army is ready to ambush me. What I want to say is I actually tried to do the battle twice before I realized, you know, I was messing up the commentary, I was not able to micromanage properly, and everything basically went to shit. So instead I decided, you know what, I'll focus on fighting the battle, I'll do the commentary afterwards, and also I can take the time to, you know, stop, take a look at what's going on, get some close-ups and so forth to take a look at this battle, which is a very important battle because it's my best army. It's in a very sensitive area of the battlefield, or of the grand strategy of it all. So I decided that it's probably best to do it this way. Hope you don't mind. So let's go ahead and first start off where all the troops are stationed. So we can see the Polish have strung out quite a bit of line infantry along here. There's quite a few units. There's probably also some grenadiers. Yes, there's 3 units of grenadiers here on the right, ready to march into the forest. And then we've got 3, 4, 5 line infantry units in general on this side. On the other side, we have their cannon, which isn't limbered. We've got their, I think these are some sort of guard lancer unit. It's a special unit anyways. And then we have 2 units of line infantry down here. We've got the general, and then we've got 3 regiments of cavalry, 2 noble host, and 1 unit of normal cavalry. On my side, my troops are strung out in a line here. I say the reason mostly, I think, why I was actually able to survive this ambush is the fact that they decided to ambush us while I sort of had the cover of the town, which, well, that and also the fact that I was able to capture a lot of the enemy cavalry in an area, because in the previous battles when I tried to play this and I tried to do commentary and stuff and tried to micromanage at the same time, it was just too much, and the enemy cavalry was able to snag on to the infantry troops on these sides. So the charge of course killed a lot of people, but also the fact once the grenadiers got up, they were able to shoot into this side while the cavalry held them in place. So utter destruction of a really large part of my army, as I have 6 units of infantry here and one of my cannons. So the units that are strung out here is, we've got grenadiers, we've got Queen's infantry, so it's 1, 2, 3 grenadiers, Queen's infantry, the and then 2 infantry units, the Osterbotten regiment, and then a normal line infantry. And then we have the general, then we have the 2 hussar units, and after them we've got 2 regiments of horse. Then we got the rest of the cannons. We got a normal straight-barreled cannon, and then the 2 howitzer units. And beyond that we have line of foot, the Dala regiment, the Närke Värmland, and let's see, we got grenadiers, and to lead the column we've got the lifeguard unit. And let's go ahead and start and see what is happening. So first things first, I need to block the enemy cavalry from attacking this. So I need to quickly move the cavalry units over to this side and get the infantry away from the forest where they strung out in column. And also I need to block these guys from attacking the column as well. So I'm springing troops from this side over to protect them over here. We've got some movements. And now quickly, before the battle really starts, as you can see, I wasn't able to move as quickly as I wanted, and the enemy general is about to clash into the Queen's infantry before my cavalry has even started to move. And we can see the enemy, 2 noble hosts, are already on the move, and a regiment of horse is already on the move there. The grenadiers are closing in. We got another general racing to attack me on this side, so it's not going too well at this point. The enemy general marches in here, and yeah, not very nice, because he's now kind of locked the Queen's infantry in place there. I've moved 1 unit up there, but it was too late. As we see, it's been snagged by the cavalry. Luckily though, we didn't actually get they didn't actually get a proper charge in on that side. And now the grenadiers have started opening fire. I'm moving my grenadiers to hold them off, but there's 3 grenadier units versus my 2 units, and as we can see, it's not going too well for my side just yet. I'm trying to move the cannon at some point. We're trying to get the troops in. Oh yes, there's a lot happening at the same time, so we've missed part of the battle that took place here. We've got enemies moving in here, and I'm trying, or the idea was to set up defenses here, swing out on this side and take them that way. But the cavalry unit that was stationed here, the guard unit, has moved around, and they have attacked the lifeguard unit, and they're going to be able to take out quite a few of them. To protect them, I tried to get into the house, but only about 1/3 of the unit is able to take place within the house. But with them being in the house, they can actually fire out of it while the other part of the regiment is fighting. So we'll be able to cut these guys down, although it will be a slow fight to take these guys out. So cavalry is really annoying in this, because infantry has more or less no valid counter unless being well prepared to take them on from the front, a well coordinated volley into them to destroy them before they actually reach you. If they attack you from the back or anything like that, especially lances, you know, it's game over for a lot of infantry units. And now let's go over to this side. What's happening here? Well, I moved 2 units. I put them here first because in previous battle I had moved them too far at the beginning, and the micromanagement or the sort of the unit moving or the path finding was too bad, so they kind of got stuck, and then they just stood there waiting for like one guy to round the house, and while that they were taking volleys from the front, getting absolutely murdered at close range. So that wasn't working, so I put them here first, but they're going to move up here at some point. So to not have these guys being able to strike us and block us off here, as we can see, they're kind of surrounding this part of the army. So I sent the hussars out here, and the hussars were able to deliver 2 volleys into this unit, having taken 150 soldiers out of it, and then charged into them with one of the units just to hold them in place. So now we got an idea what's going on there. Stupid general goes ahead and charged my cannon. He's going to be able to kill quite a few of the cannons. He's going to be able to kill this artillery completely, and he's going to take out the howitzer, or half of the howitzers. Instead of 4 howitzer units, I'm going to have 3. We were able to send this one off with a good volley from the hussar unit. Unfortunately, I probably shot quite a few of my own hussars, but we keep these guys locked down while my line infantry is moving up to destroy the enemy. Same time on this side, we're slowly cutting down these guys. As you can see, we got 2 units moving forwards, being able to fire on my 1 Nerke Värmland, so that had to pull back, and as well as these grenadiers had to pull back. Enemy general died. My cannons are getting destroyed by enemy general, which is now trying to charge this one in the back to stop them from firing. I've been able to move 1 unit away from the fighting over here. So I had 3 grenadiers, so the 3rd grenadier unit is moving over here to support here to basically clear out my rear, so I have this area to fall back on in case this falls. At the same time, on the front line, grenadiers taking some casualties, but they're holding on against the enemy. However, it seems as though for some reason the forests seem to be more lenient to catching bullets when we fire compared to the enemy. Well, they're putting down more fire, and also in this case this one is receiving fire out in the open, so it's lost quite a lot of men. We've got big formation moving in there. My general is moving away. I sent my general to actually attack the enemy general, and to look at what's going on here with the cavalry, I've sent in my regiments of horse, and they've actually surrounded the enemy regiment of horse. And this unit, even though it's lost 100 men, we've actually boxed in the enemy's cavalry units here. So they've attached a general or charged general straight in here, and then they've got another stupid general right there. So they're just to throw their generals away. Here we got another Polish general that's dead. And we got a regiment of horse attacking these guys. And at this point, I realize if I keep holding this position that my troops are gonna get killed. So I'm moving away these 3 units, and what I'm trying to do is just save them. At this point, I'm not really caring what's happening to this regiment or the cavalry regiment. I'm just gonna leave them to save a lot of the infantry. The grenadier unit that stood here has retreated, as it took a lot of damage, and that is really the reason why prompted me to move the rest of them, because, well, we're about to get destroyed. This unit, not too happy being surrounded by cavalry from all sides. At the same time, as we can see, we've now surrounded this unit. The hussars are firing in from the side, these units are firing from over here, and my rear is more or less secure. We've been able to deal with the lancers, but it's an elite unit at 42. They might still return. I'm not entirely sure what happened, if they do return or not. Grenadiers is now actually being able to implement my plan, which was to hold this area, let the enemy come on, and then march out on the side and hit them in the flank. The Life Guard is now moving out to be able to help out and fire on this unit together, and hopefully they'll be able to fire down there. Howitzers have started firing, but they started firing at the enemy cannon, which is already retreating, kind of wasted 2 shots there. But we're gonna try to fire down there once I actually take control of these guys. didn't get a good hit there. So we've got a dangerous situation taking place right here, where I've got my cannons unguarded, and we got masses on, just tons of Polish troops ready to swing down. Same with over here where I left my units. The enemy is able to swarm this. Luckily for me, I'm kind of saved by the fact that this is such an entanglement of troops that the enemy is not really willing to fire in on that, and instead it's trying to focus down on here. At the same time, we can see my general has actually defeated the enemy general. We've got some howitzer shots going in here, see if we can get some sweet hits, but not really. We got a few guys stumbling, but no catastrophic hit. We're able to lay down fire from 2 units on 1, which is good, so we're able, actually 3, so we're actually able to cut this one down, and that one's not going to return. Moving the hussars now to try and see if I can save this situation by possibly swinging around, shooting these guys. I guess they realize this because they're pulling the cavalry off, and then we got another unit of cavalry over there. And as you see at this point, the units that we have actually had surrounded were the noble host. And the noble host, I don't think they're very good, because I've been able to take them on 1 for 1 with my regiment of horse, being able to kill them. So they're not particularly good. We're turning the units now to face the fact that we've got masses of infantry coming on. And I've put the Dala regiment to hold the enemy from getting to my cannons. They're going to do pretty well holding this, supported by the howitzer of course, but it's a very short range and most of the howitzer shots are going to land over, so they don't really have the range to fire properly that way. We can see roughly where the cannon shots land, so to hit something we really need to be in this area right here. Luckily for me, the enemy decides to sort of march straight down, which is just going to cause mass damage, as I explained in one of the previous videos of how bullets actually pass through multiple soldiers at close range. So a frontal charge is absolutely the most stupid thing you can do. And as we can see here, there are masses of Polish troops being killed, but still we have lost quite a bit of troops at this point, and the enemy outnumber us 2 to 1 with almost 2 to 1. And here is what I said about the bloody lancers. They're back and they're charging my men. Luckily I was able to turn this unit. I was able to see this, even though this shit was going on. I was able to see this and turn this unit around, so their impact wasn't as bad as one would have thought it might have been. And as we can see, a lot of the Polish units now have been forced back quite a bit, but I have lost a lot of troops as well. The fighting continues here. I've put the hussars to shoot into a line infantry unit that's contacted with my 2 regiments of horse. And over on this side, I sent in the Osterbotte regiment together with the hussars to stop the enemy cavalry units that were coming attacking us from over here. We got more infantry as well. They've got another 4,000 that needs to reinforce the first 4,000 that attacked us. But at this point I have kind of turned it around to a manageable position, but a lot of our units have suffered. At least half the unit has succumbed to enemy fire at this point. And ooh, I was afraid it's gonna crash there. No, it did not. Good. And yeah, the fight keeps going. Lots of casualties on both sides, but as I said, we're able to hold this. At this point, I probably shouldn't have pushed this far, because the enemy is set up in the forest, so I should have probably pulled back, let my cannons deal with it, and try to hold around the village, rather than trying to attack the enemy out in the forest. But I wanted to make sure they didn't come back, and I wanted to break them that way. And since I didn't have cavalry to chase them, I moved like this. But we're gonna suffer quite a lot on these troops right here. As you can see, there's still quite a few hundred troops out here in the forest, which I shouldn't have pursued. I should have let them come to me. Pulling back, trying to reorganize the defense around this area. And at the same time, this unit has been able to shoot away most of the enemy cavalry, but so has my cavalry been defeated, and at this point I only have my hussars ready. The regiment of course did an heroic job holding the enemy in place here for as long as they did, and stopping the enemy cavalry, which is a big problem to have an enemy that is able to move in such a way or have the mobility on their side. So finally this fight is over. This fight is continuing. The enemy, luckily for me, actually moved out of the forest, and as I said about firing at enemies at close range, we're able to inflict quite a lot of damage. As you can see, howitzers is also helping out here. So we're able to send these guys off, but there's more enemies hiding in the forest. 200 grenadiers still lurking in the forest, and really what I should be doing is pulling my troops back and not firing at this point, as we're doing firing on retreating troops. We should pull back, hold fire until the enemy comes close. So for this, right now the enemy situated in the forest is able to fire from a almost concealed position, firing onto my men, and I don't really have the luxury of losing men in such a fight. And as we can see, I'm kind of pulling back at this point, and we have redrawn a line around the forest, or around the town I should say. So we can see the line going this, and then just to block the enemy cavalry from coming over here, I placed one unit over here. But as you can see, there's still some enemy cavalry coming on. The grenadier is going to have to force into square, and I'm going to send the hussars wherever they are, trying to help out here. Nasty, however, as the enemy noble host has been able to attack the grenadiers, is going to take quite a chunk out of this unit. We are able to get some support fire from this unit, which is very nice. The hussars are racing to really deal with these guys, but we were able to hold this, and right now we've got a pretty good position. We've got a single enemy unit moving on against multiple of mine, and what I should be doing here is probably just pull back, draw them further in, because they do have kind of a height advantage. Well, if not a height advantage, they have a, I mean, individual regiment has a higher number of troops than mine, so I should probably be pulling back just to draw them closer. Same with over here, trying to lure the enemy out of the forest, but we're holding on strong at this point. We're firing our howitzers. I've put one of the more broken down grenadier units to hold the town hall, and we can see the fighting going on all around. So the enemy moving up a lone unit against an overpowering amount of my troops is not working out for them, and the unit is getting destroyed. The grenadiers, however, they've moved out a bit too far out into the front. The best thing is if every one of these units would be able to lay down fire on this one, so I should have pulled that, continuously pulling this one back to the point where this one focus on troops over here, and then I can pull it forward and attack the enemy in the flank. As we see, there's now quite a lot of troops in the forest. At this point there's about an excess of 1,000 Polish troops coming out of the forest. A little more actually, say 1,200 Polish troops coming out of the forest. And my units on this point are down to about 100 men each. The biggest unit in this area has 181 troops. I do have the support of howitzers, But as we see here, 3 shots, not really landing any substantial hits on the enemy as they're pulling forward. And now it's actually increased from about 1,500 Polish enemies that are moving forwards. Let's see, we're getting that was a pretty good hit, being able to spray shrapnel all across and also breaking up the unit, making a big hole. But they were able to get quite the nice volley down upon the Dala regiment, which wasn't very nice. I was forced to pull up because of my poor management, to pull up against the enemy, which wasn't really a great idea because, well, now they have got a height advantage up here. Back to this position, we're holding on barely. I mean, the thing that's saving me here is the enemy is reorganizing and not really laying down fire upon us. As soon as they start to lay down fire upon us, we can see my troops start to waver just because of the sheer amount of firepower, the overpowering amount of enemy troops firing at us. I do have the advantage of howitzers, but the howitzers aren't actually the units that are gonna kill the most. We'll see that once we go into checking the statistics of the battle. So the Dala regiment is falling back, the Nerki Värmland is falling back, soon we'll have the Life Guard falling back, the 4th Grenadiers is also looking to fall back, and the 44th Regiment of Foot is not long after as well. I have got the 3rd Grenadiers delivering a hell of a volley. The enemy, however, standing and returning a volley before retreating. But now the flank is open. The flank is open would be nice if I actually had a front to hold. As we can see, the front has collapsed and I've got 4 regiments at this point in full retreat. Nerki Värmland, the Life Guard, the Dala regiment, the 4th Grenadiers, and the 44th. The 44th I'm still in control of, but I mean, there's a big gap here. There's nothing to hold the enemy from marching straight into town. And at this point it's gone pretty badly on this side as well, as I pulled forward to the enemy. So the 1st Grenadiers are down to 80 men. The Osterbottens regiment is at 140. Then we've got Queen's Infantry at 109. 46th at 98. We've got this small unit regiment of horse. The idea here was to take out this unit using the cavalry, so that the 7th regiment of cavalry would charge and the hussars would close in fire while they were fighting. It's not going to really go that well. Luckily, as the enemy is pulling forward, I'm able to inflict quite a bit of damage with my howitzers, but soon enough they'll be in under the cover of, really, I can't fire that low really. And we've got quite a few enemies moving in. Some regiments are back, so the 4th Grenadiers, I sent the general out, trying to save some of these, but a lot of these are not coming back. The cavalry plan has completely failed and the units are almost completely wiped out, without really doing much damage to the enemy unit. I don't know how many they had before we conducted this assault, but it didn't actually do that much. So at this point it's looking really bad. The enemy, as we can see, has still regiments coming on, so we've got still quite a few regiments, and worst of all, we've got enemy cavalry coming in. There's no way my small units will have a standing chance against a cavalry charge. I still have, though, the town and the houses which I can hide in, so I've got that going for me, but even that is not a great situation. So 1st Grenadiers falling back, they didn't do well against these guys and are forced back. We can see the enemy is slowly inching their way forwards. We got the 36th, 24th and the 5th slowly moving in around here. The 5th is being hit by, who did I put in here? the Queen's infantry is hiding in this house. And they're doing a hell of a job trying to hold off the enemy, but there's 200 Polish troops. You don't have a lot of firepower coming out of the house, and as we just saw there, a cannonball went in, almost destroying the house. There's quite a few soldiers dead inside due to the house collapsing upon them. So the Queen's infantry is pulling back. At the same time, we've got another house being pulled down. So at the same time as my troops are dying all over the place, the village is, I mean, literally coming apart as we're fighting here, and more troops are coming in. So we've got about, let's see, say an excess, maybe as much as it's around 500 coming from over here, fighting maybe 300 inside here, 300-400, and then we've got another say 500 here as well, 500-400 coming on here. So it's not a great situation. We're forced to hide everywhere. Grenadiers, a bit of a misfocus here. I had them on fire at will, but they actually, I guess this unit came within the firing range first, so they were looking to fire at that one, but clearly it's behind the houses. So even though I should be able to put down fire on these guys first, just because of the AI being stupid, that did not happen. My troops being forced back, and here comes the enemy cavalry. So 100 horsemen have turned up. Very nasty. Drawn sword, they're moving into town. Trying to attack here. I'm trying to use the howitzers, but as we can see, the enemy is way too close. We got massive amounts of enemy coming in here. And here is where I decide, you know what, we're gonna have to sacrifice the general. So the general charges straight in on the enemy cavalry, and saving this unit, being able to lay fire in upon the cavalry, being able to shoot them down. At the same time, we got fire from the houses, we got fire from the Queen's infantry, we got fire from the grenadiers as the enemy is pulling forward. The house is firing, plus the 4th grenadiers over here. But you can see it's a bad situation with lots and lots of Polish troops closing in. The general was able to hold off these guys, but we've got, I mean, 400 infantry. Now actually less, because this unit just ran away. But the general, unfortunately, he's going to have to continue to fight here, and I'm pretty sure this guy actually shot him. So it didn't look like he was stabbed. So he's actually got shot by one of his own accidentally. Hopefully that guy actually dies, but he didn't. So the traitor actually survived. But with the general sacrifice, we were able to send these guys off. The enemy, being unable to maneuver properly within the town, was smashed as well by the line infantry, and we can see a general retreat taking place. We still have quite a bit of cavalry out here, but it seems as though, given that we were able to ward off that tsunami really of enemy troops, that it's looking pretty well. And with those hits with those really good howitzer hits there, I was able to take a great chunk out of the hussars, or I mean the enemy dragoons, and slowly just moving into fire range here. The howitzers keep lasting them. It's very nice, and I saw that they were coming this way, so I put this one on hold fire. If the enemy will round the corner, I will open fire and then blast them at close range. At the same time, these guys, since I wasn't able to follow up my breaking of them, are back. So we've got another about 300 men coming back into the village, attacking. The dragoons were sent away, but there's 50 of them. There's a possibility of them coming back. And once again, we have to protect ourselves against an attack of the enemy. So we got the Queen's infantry, we've got so-and-so regiments moving forwards, and some of them moving backwards, actually leaving the howitzers exposed at this point, because I realize they're not going to do that much damage in the continuation of the battle. They're firing overhead. I think I'm going to try out the new cannon shot. The let's see if there we go. And that one actually does some damage because it explodes overhead and drops some splinters down upon the enemy. Luckily for me, I'm pretty sure these guys are actually firing upon the house rather than on my line infantry, which is stationed way back. And I'm able to send these guys up around, ready to flank the enemy. This unit's coming on is being fired from the house, from these two, and from the house down there. So it's not going well. We can see the enemy is starting to wavering. They're broken at this point, and the dragoons are back, but I basically got victory at this point. The only thing I need to do is make sure that these guys don't come back, which the Osterbotten regiment is doing by firing on them as they retreat. There's no way they're going to be broken or shattered twice and return. Same with these guys. The infantry is just too cut down. The dragoons are doing their best, charging in for last time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to fire, so we are going to lose some men, but it's not nearly as devastating as one might think from a straight-on cavalry charge. And we're able to form square, and soon enough the Queen's infantry is going to be able to open fire, and even before they open fire, the enemy cavalry is broken in retreat and forced back. So there we have it. The few units that are still remaining is we got the 44th hiding in that house, we got 4th Grenadiers, we've got the 2nd Grenadiers in the house, 3rd Grenadiers, 46th Regiment of Foot, we've got the Queen's Infantry, and the Osterbotten Regiment, and the two howitzers, the 1st Howitzer and the 5th Howitzer Regiment. And the only thing we have left is a few cannons, but I'll be able to quickly outmaneuver them and kill them off. So there we have this battle. I was able to save my army, but it's kind of a blow to my strategic... I mean, I can't... Even though it's a victory, there's no way I can use this victory to my advantage by attacking the town that I was planning to attack. So, unfortunately, this fell apart, but hopefully in the next videos we'll be able to continue our plans. Most likely there might be some... I'll do a montage of me defending the Karelian region and Norway, and then we'll go ahead and do a... we'll do the Siege of Warsaw possibly at some point, which is planned, and then taking on the Russians up in the forest in a field battle. So there's a lot of things going on, and basically after the Russians once again have been defeated, or maybe even before that, but we definitely have to defeat the Polish before I decide to once again go ahead and attack the Prussians. And we're probably going to have quite the interesting time fighting them. As we start stirring up the Hornet's Nest, we're going to get those, I think it's 4 full stacks compact together, and we'll probably look at the biggest battle we'll be fighting, or have so far been fighting. Hopefully we'll actually be able to draw all the Prussians into one battle, because that would be quite the spectacular battle. But with that said, I'll leave you guys for this, and we'll jump back if I have some final words. You know what? The final words in the end of the video I've already recorded, but I recorded them way late at night, so why don't we just end it right here, since I see that this battle has actually dragged on for about 28 minutes. That's way enough, so we'll end it right here. As I always say, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!